Hey everyone, what I've got here is the Samsung T5. This is a very portable, a very lightweight, a very sexy external SSD. Now, I've did a review of this already. I've been using it for a few months and it comes in 500 gigabytes, 1 terabyte or 2 terabytes. I've got the 1 terabyte version and I've been using it most days to transfer files, to store files, and on a few occasions I've actually edited a video directly on this rather than copy the files over. But I might have a better solution. I've been sent this NVMe SSD enclosure, and you can see it here. This is from a company called Alxum, and they sent it out to me for review. Now, they did make a point of saying in their email that it's not pronounced Alxum, it's pronounced awesome. You guys can be the judge of that. That's supposed to say awesome. So this is quite an affordable solution. It retails at $50 in the USA. On Amazon UK right now, it's about £39, but there's a 10% voucher, so you're talking about £35 or so. And it's quite a simple design. It's quite a nice design. You can see it there. It's got a nice aluminium case. You've got your Type-C connection port there. And on the other side, you've got two M2 screws. Now, there is no thermal pad to place over the SSD that's put inside here, but they say that the heat dissipates through the aluminium casing. I have found that it does get a little bit hot. It's not hot enough that you can't touch it, but yeah, you definitely feel a little bit of heat when your SSD is connected. Now, the reason I'm happy about this is because of the transfer speeds. Now, just to give you a comparison, the Samsung T5, and I was always happy with this, I was getting about 550 megabytes per second, 500 to 550 megabytes per second when I connected this using a Type-C connection. When I used a Type-A connection, it dropped from about 550 down to 450, sometimes 400, sometimes even 350. It depended on the Type-A port that I used, whether I was going through a hub and whether I was using, something like a Surface Pro or, a laptop or a PC. But overall, I was happy with the speeds. Now, it is important to remember that drives like this are kind of limited by the theoretical maximum with what they can actually transfer. Now, in this case, the theoretical maximum is USB 3.1 Gen 2, 10 gigabits per second, and 10 gigabytes per second translates as 1,250 megabytes per second. Now, I've got a 970 Evo Plus in here, which can do over 3,000 megabytes per second reading and writing. I didn't get 1,250 megabytes per second, but I did get around 950 megabytes per second. And that is when I connected this to the Thunderbolt 3 connection port on my PC via the PCI Express Thunderbolt 3 card that I've got. So, to put it simply, I was getting 550 megabytes per second with this. I can get 950 megabytes per second with this drive, with an SSD inside this enclosure. So that is really impressive. Now, again, just like the Samsung T5, the speeds that you get will depend on where you actually connect this. When I connected this via my Thunderbolt 3 hub, which then connects to my PC, the speeds were a little bit lower. Well, the speed report I got was a little bit erratic, but I was getting, dropping from about 950 down to about 900 megabytes per second. The speeds dropped even more when I connected to the Thunderbolt 3 port in my HP laptop. It dropped down to about 850 megabytes per second. So the speed did drop a little bit, not by a significant amount, but again, it depends on where you're connecting this. When I connected this to the Type-A port on the top of my PC, I was getting about 420 megabytes per second. It's understandable, the theoretical maximum with a Type-A port is less. So it will depend on whether you put this into a USB 3.1 Gen 2 port or Thunderbolt 3 port, or whether you connect it to an older generation port. But across the board, that is very, very impressive. Now, of course, you don't want to really put a Samsung 970 Evo Plus inside something like that, because the transfer rates of the 970 Evo Plus aren't going to be utilized on a drive like this. But you could pick up an NVMe drive that can do, say, 1,500 megabytes per second maximum, and then you could put it into this and get about 950 megabytes per second. Overall though, I am pretty impressed. Now, it is important to note again, you are limited by that 10 gigabits per second, and that's less than the theoretical maximum of a Thunderbolt 3 port, which can do up to 40 gigabits per second. Now, I have seen some drives out there that can do that can connect to a Thunderbolt 3 port, but the ones that I've seen, they're like 200, 300, so they're a lot more expensive. I think this strikes the right balance between being affordable and being practical. So this is not the end of the review. What I want to do is put on my overhead camera, and I want to give you a closer look as to how this works, because I wanted to show you inside this to show you exactly how this operates. So here is the awesome USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type-C to M2 SSD hard drive enclosure. Theoretical maximum of 1250 megabytes per second. Now, if I jump over to the browser here, you can see this is the official website. This gives you a little bit more information. You can see that this does accept a whole range of different M2 SSD drives. I am using a 2280, which is probably what most people will use, but it does accept a lot of different M2 SSD drives. So if you've got a smaller SSD, smaller form factor, you can still use it with this drive. So it's quite flexible in that, you know, you might come across a different drive later on, take out another drive or something. So that's pretty good. And you can see how it's operating there. Now, I'll show you this myself, but you can see there, they've actually used the same drive as me, a 970 EVO Plus, and this is painfully easy to use. It really is easy to use. So there's instructions there about how to use it. You can see the price there, £38.60, $50 in the USA, says 39, but there's a 10% voucher, so that's all good. And again, this is what I was talking about with the gigabits per second. You know, there's 8 bits to a byte, so it drops it down from 10 gigabits per second, translates as 1250 megabytes per second. And I know that confuses some people because obviously some things are marketed as megabytes per second, such as the 970 EVO Plus here, which has got theoretical maximums 3,500, 3,300. And I did actually get close to that when I was doing my review of that, when I was testing that. But yeah, this is the awesome M2 NVMe drive. So just to quickly show you the size of this, you can see that it is longer than the T5, and that makes sense because this has got a smaller SSD, smaller M2 SSD inside it. It's smaller, it's lighter, but this is by no means heavy. This is super light, it's super portable. It's, yeah, I don't think we're at the point where that's too big that you carry it around, not at all. Okay, so I just want to quickly show you what's inside the box. It's a very simple unboxing affair. You get 2 cables inside here. You get a Type-C to Type-A, and you get a Type-C to Type-C. Now, what I will say about these cables are that, yes, they're short, but that's kind of par for the course with drives like this. But yeah, they're quite good. They're quite durable. They're quite thick. I don't think these are going to fray or anything like that. They're not braided cables, but yeah, these are really, really strong. These are going to last many years. I don't have any problems with those at all. They threw in an M2 screwdriver, which is good. And they actually threw in quite a few different screws. I only used one particular screw, but yeah, they're put in a lot of different ones. But again, that makes sense because they're saying that this works with many different SSD drives. So they've given you the screws for many different form factors. There is an instruction manual as well. You can see it there. Different languages, but yeah, the first few pages are all that you really need there. So I'll show you how easy this is. So this is the drive, Type-C connection port there. The other side, you've got 2 M2 screws. And I'm just using the screwdriver they provided. So there's 1. And here is 2. It really is that simple. So that part just falls out. Now this is one part that I think they could have done better. You can see there, look at that. It just kind of floats around. Now it doesn't move. When that's on, the drive doesn't move out or anything like that. But yeah, this is effectively what is in the inside. Now, what did I do? Well, obviously this didn't come with the 970 EVO Plus. All I did was take a screw out from this, screwed it on using the screwdriver. I just attached it, connected it, attached it to the circuit board, and that was it. That's it. You literally just put your SSD drive in and screw on the screw, and that's it. That's all you have to do. Now, like I was saying, the heat is apparently dissipated through this. And if you look on their website, you can see that they've got a section on their website. If you can look at there, you can see that it's aluminium shell, superheat dissipation. It would have been good, I think, to have some sort of thermal pad or something to put over the top of that. You probably could buy that yourself because there is enough room in there. You can see that there is enough room that you could probably put a thermal pad on top of that. But, you know, this was designed to dissipate heat. Maybe that's all you need to do. So, yeah, you know, as far as that, I'm not happy about that. But again, once that's on, you shouldn't have a problem with that. Effectively, all you have to do is slide it down until you get to there. And then once it's on, you can just put this back on. And then just put the M2 screws back on. Like that. And then just screw everything back together. That's all it is. So what this means is this is fairly easy to change NVMe drives. Now, it's not hot swappable to the point where you can just, you know, take out an M2 SSD and just connect it up. I don't think that's the case, but oh, the screw is annoying me. Come on. Get in there. Okay. So, yeah, I don't think it's, you know, we're not at the point where you just take out an SSD and slide it back in. You do have to take 2 screws off to put it on. But, I mean, I've did all this live. I've not done any cuts to, you know, say this is how it connects. I've did all this live during the video. And you can see that in just a few seconds, you can take it out, put in a different SSD, put it back on, and there you go. Now, this is quite good for me because there's been quite a few situations where I've wanted to transfer files from an NVMe drive, and what I've had to do was connect it up to the motherboard again. I've had to screw it back into the motherboard. Using something like this, I can put an NVMe SSD directly into this. I can connect it to any computer that I want. I can format it, I can copy files, I can do anything I want. Whether you use this on a day-to-day basis or not, I do think this is something that I do think this is something that most people would find useful. You know, just have it in your inventory, have it there so that when you do need it to transfer files, to copy files from an old motherboard, you know, hard drive or anything, then you've got it there. So overall, yeah, I'm pretty impressed. I hope you've all enjoyed this look at the awesome M2 NVMe SSD enclosure. I think that this is a fantastic solution. Now, if you're looking for faster speeds, and speed is more important than price, you might want to gravitate towards Thunderbolt 3 SSD enclosures because they will be able to give you faster speeds, but you will have to pay a little bit more for it. Now, I've not tested any of those myself, but I've checked out a few in the market and they tend to be over 200. They are more expensive. And because of that, I think that for most people, this is a more practical solution because it's being sold at a more reasonable price point. And the overall package is really good. In addition to the user manual, you get 4 or 5 different screws for different variations of M2 drives. You get a little screwdriver for those little screws at the back there. And of course, you get the 2 USB cables here. You've got a Type C and Type A cable. Now, of course, you can go out there, you can buy longer cables, braided cables, different cables if you want. But I think that most people would be happy with these. They're quite thick, they're quite durable. Now, if you are someone that travels a lot and you want something that's super light and super portable, you might want to gravitate towards one of these kind of hard drives. There's a few different variations of this out in the market, and the transfer speeds on this are not as good as what you can get in an NVMe enclosure like this. And for some people that don't need those faster speeds, they just want a fast storage drive, then something like that, a Samsung T5 might actually be a better solution. This is a fantastic drive, and it's not like I've stopped liking it. I will still use it. And there is a need for, you know, drives like this that are light and portable and perhaps not as quick. But I think that this has got the right balance. You know, it's not too big, it's not too heavy. You can change around NVMe drives quite easily, but what appeals to me here is the fact that I can get faster transfer rates. I can get, not double, but not far off being twice as quick, twice as fast, transfer speeds than my Samsung T5. You know, getting about 950 megabytes per second instead of the 550 there. To me, that is significant, especially when you're doing video editing and when you're transferring files. That will save me a lot of time. And it's not just storing files and transferring files and all that that's important. I just think that this is an overall just a fantastic solution to have. Even if you're not going to use this as an external drive, it's a useful little device to have, because there's going to be situations where perhaps you want to get the files from your SSD, but it's connected to your laptop or it's connected to your motherboard and your PC. And normally what you would have to do is plug it back into the PC, connect it all up again, or put it back into your laptop. With this, you can just take the drive, you can connect it and just use it like a USB drive, and you can copy the files, you can format the drive, you can do what you need to do. And there's going to be a lot of situations where that is useful. You know, perhaps you're copying an operating system, perhaps you're copying files over, whatever. Maybe you just want to check the errors and make sure a drive is okay. There's a lot of situations where this is practical. So even if you're not using it as a storage drive every single day, you know, it's useful to have this lying around so that when you need it, it's there. So in that respect, I think it's a very, very good solution. And as I was saying earlier on, I think that a drive such as a 970 EVO is kind of wasted on this. The theoretical maximum is 1250 megabytes per second. I was getting about 950. So really what you want is an NVMe drive that can do about 1200, 1500 megabytes per second. If you're spending more than that and putting a drive in here, all that additional speed is kind of wasted. You know, you're throwing your money away. You'd be better putting that drive, the Samsung drive, you'd be better putting that inside a laptop and putting a slower drive inside that. And that's what I think I'll do. I'll maybe pick up a slower, still a fast, but a slower NVMe drive. And I'll maybe put it into this. So overall, yeah, I'm very, very impressed with this. So thanks to the company for sending this out. I haven't tested, it is worth pointing that out, I haven't tested this over weeks or months. I've did a lot of tests with this. I've been transferring files back and forth to try and get a feel for what it's like. And it does heat up a little bit. But, with these kind of things, you do have to test them over weeks and months to see what they're like. But first impressions, absolutely positive. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll leave links to everything that I've shared with you so far in this video. You'll find it down in the description area. Let me know what you think about this, and let me know if this is something that you would like to buy. So until next time, take care.